The world watches in horror as multiple conflicts rage on, causing unimaginable suffering and threatening global stability. From the streets of Gaza to the plains of Ukraine and the heart of Sudan, innocent lives are lost while powerful forces clash. The Israel-Palestine conflict, the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and the Sudanese crisis are not isolated incidents but interconnected tragedies that demand our attention and action. The Israel-Palestine conflict, a decades-long struggle over land and resources, continues to escalate, with the Gaza Strip bearing the brunt of the violence. The Russian invasion of Ukraine, a brutal assault on a sovereign nation, has shattered peace in Europe and triggered a humanitarian catastrophe. In Sudan, a power struggle between rival military factions has plunged the country into chaos, displacing millions and pushing the nation towards the brink of famine. These conflicts, though geographically distant, share a common thread: the human cost of war. They serve as stark reminders of the fragility of peace and the urgent need for international cooperation to resolve these crises and prevent future ones. The path to peace is arduous, but we must remain committed to dialogue, diplomacy, and unwavering support for humanitarian aid to alleviate the suffering of those caught in the crossfire. The Gaza Strip, a densely populated Palestinian territory bordering Israel and Egypt, is once again embroiled in a deadly cycle of violence. The recent escalation, sparked by a series of events, has brought unimaginable suffering to the Palestinian population. Hamas, the militant group that governs Gaza and Israel, have engaged in a relentless exchange of rockets and airstrikes, resulting in widespread destruction and countless civilian casualties. The situation in Gaza is dire, with limited access to essential supplies, overcrowded hospitals struggling to cope, and a growing sense of despair among its inhabitants. The international community has condemned the violence and called for an immediate ceasefire, but a lasting solution to the conflict remains elusive. The root causes of the conflict, including the Israeli occupation, the blockade of Gaza, and the lack of a political horizon for a two-state solution, continue to fuel the cycle of violence. The Russian invasion of Ukraine, launched in February 2022, has plunged the Eastern European nation into a full-blown war, with devastating consequences for its people and global security. Russian forces have unleashed a relentless military campaign targeting civilian infrastructure, including hospitals, schools, and residential areas. The Ukrainian people have demonstrated extraordinary courage and resilience, mounting a fierce resistance against the Russian invasion with the support of Western allies. However, the human toll of the conflict is staggering, with millions displaced from their homes, countless civilian casualties, and a growing humanitarian crisis. The international community has responded with unprecedented sanctions against Russia and military aid to Ukraine, but the conflict shows no signs of abating. The specter of a protracted war looms large, threatening to further destabilize the region and exacerbate the global food and energy crisis. Section 4. Sudan's Struggle, a Battle for Control. Sudan, a nation grappling with political instability and economic hardship, has been plunged into a new chapter of violence following a power struggle between the Sudanese armed forces and the Rapid Support Forces, a powerful paramilitary group. The fighting, which erupted in April 2023, has spread rapidly across the country, including the capital Khartoum, turning cities into battlegrounds and displacing millions. The conflict has exacerbated an already dire humanitarian situation in Sudan, with widespread shortages of food, water, and medical supplies. The healthcare system, already on the verge of collapse, is overwhelmed by the influx of casualties, while aid agencies struggle to reach those in need due to the ongoing fighting and insecurity. The international community has called for an immediate ceasefire and dialogue between the warring parties, but a lasting solution to the conflict remains elusive. The power struggle threatens to further destabilize Sudan and the wider region, with the potential to spill over into neighboring countries already struggling with their own challenges. Section 5. Echoes of War. The Humanitarian Impact. The conflicts in Gaza, Ukraine, and Sudan have triggered catastrophic humanitarian crises, displacing millions, claiming countless lives, and leaving a trail of destruction in their wake. The human cost of these conflicts is immeasurable, with innocent civilians bearing the brunt of the violence and displacement. In Gaza, the relentless bombardment has left the already impoverished population reeling, with limited access to essential supplies, overcrowded hospitals struggling to cope, and a growing sense of despair among its inhabitants. In Ukraine, the Russian invasion has triggered Europe's largest refugee crisis since World War II, with millions fleeing their homes seeking safety in neighboring countries. Sudan's internal conflict has exacerbated an already dire humanitarian situation, with widespread shortages of food, water, and medical supplies, pushing the nation to the brink of famine. The healthcare system, already on the verge of collapse, is overwhelmed by the influx of casualties, while aid agencies struggle to reach those in need due to the ongoing fighting and insecurity. Section 6. A plea for peace, international efforts and hope. In the face of these interconnected tragedies, the international community faces a moral imperative to act decisively and collaboratively to find peaceful solutions to the conflicts in Gaza, Ukraine, and Sudan. Diplomatic efforts, though challenging, must be intensified to secure ceasefires, facilitate dialogue between warring parties, and address the root causes of these conflicts. Humanitarian aid, a lifeline for millions caught in the crossfire, must be scaled up to meet the growing needs of those displaced, injured, and facing starvation. Access for humanitarian organizations must be guaranteed to ensure that life-saving assistance reaches those who need it most. The path to peace is arduous, but we must remain committed to dialogue, diplomacy, and unwavering support for humanitarian aid to alleviate the suffering of those caught in the crossfire. The international community must work tirelessly to bring an end to these conflicts and create a more just and peaceful world for all. Only through collective action and a shared commitment to peace can we hope to build a future free from the scourge of war and violence.